Lori here. I just wanted to do a really quick version of Top 10 Tuesday. And it is Halloween. It is October. And the top 10 topic for this week was villains, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the scary. I actually normally really like villains. I love villains when they're super well crafted. I don't like caricature villains. I think that they're just like weak. But I normally do really, I love a good villain story. I love when we get the backgrounds of a story. And I am going to chat about these. Like, there is a list on my blog post, but this list might be a little bit different just because I've been thinking about it since I made this blog post. The first thing is a creepy villain, and that's definitely, it's gonna probably be a little bit surprising, but Lavanya from the Lunar Chronicle series was definitely creepy. Like, she just was so evil and so vicious, and the way she treated her characters, she wasn't like scary, but she was very, very like, the way she did things was super creepy, and like, she was just always there. Her behavior was super creepy, and I never liked her. It was funny. I remember going into reading Ferris and being super hesitant to read that book because I was like, I don't want to like her as a character. No spoilers, but my opinion did not change after reading the book. So if you had similar feelings or similar thoughts, I would highly recommend you read it because it does give you more information, especially about the other characters that Lavanya interacted with. But it didn't necessarily change my opinion of her. But she was definitely a creepy villain to me. More like a vicious and bloodthirsty villain, but definitely creepy as well. The next topic was favorite, and I really think he's adorable. That's why he's kind of on this list. But Alistair from the Prospero Redden series by Alexandra Bracken, I actually really liked him as a villain. I thought that he was like just so charming, and he really was like an interesting villain because you really were always, you should have been rooting for the lead character, but you were kind of rooting for Alistair in some ways. And I think the thought that Alexandra Bracken made him super compelling. The relationship that developed was super fun to read about, and I just really, really liked it. I definitely am excited to dive into book 2, but I definitely need to reread book 1. Book 1, just that relationship between Alistair, the character that we met, I really wound up liking, and I was like really, really invested in that series. But he just was just a fun character. I don't even know if you would technically call him a villain, but he definitely was villain-ish. And I know it's like a middle grade series, but I actually just really found that book to be quite charming and definitely scary and creepy, but just like a really interesting character, and that is why he made this list. If you have not checked out that series, I highly recommend that you do. Next two villains will not be a shock to anyone, and the best villain that I've ever probably read in the entire like series of books I've ever read is probably the Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. He definitely was the first villain that I really felt like hatred towards, and I just was like, oh dear Lord, what are you doing, Voldemort? He definitely is not the worst villain in that series, and I'll get to that in like a little bit. But I do like how he is like developed and how J.K. Rowling crafted him. I thought that he was a super smart and cunning character, and he just was really like engaging to watch or read about, and I just really found his rise to power super compelling, and I just really, really enjoyed him. He definitely was a villain that I like thought was like realistic, and I was like, oh my god, what is he gonna do next? He definitely gave Harry a run for his money, but I loved ultimately how that story wound up. If you have not finished Harry Potter, I will not spoil you here, but really, what are you doing with your life? Go read Harry Potter. Don't watch the movies, go read Harry Potter. I will sit here until you come back and have read it. Yay, you read it. Very good. I still won't spoil you, but he's probably one of my favorite villains. On the same track, one of the worst villains I've ever read, and I mean worst in like a vicious evil way, is Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. She is the one villain that has made me throw my book across the room and be screaming rage because she was so evil. So evil. I was rereading book 5 recently, and I'm just like, why did you create this character? She's such a good villain, but she is just evil. She's just pure evil. Like, there's nothing about her that's redeeming. And when reading back her scenes with Harry and all the characters, I'm just like, oh my god. So she's definitely a villain, a worse villain in that regard because she was so evil and I really did not want to see her and I just was like so angry at her. But she definitely gave Harry Potter, like in that, a different kind of villainy. Like Lord Voldemort was very much like power hungry and was all about murder and death and stuff like that. But you saw Umbridge as a very different type of villain, and I thought that that was a nice dichotomy that J.K. Rowling used. And I really didn't think about it before until when I was rereading it recently, how much of an evil villain she really was, and how she was contrasted with Lord Voldemort. So that's my 2 cents on the best and worst villain, and they both come from Harry Potter. And the last villain that I talked about on my blog post is scary, and that is the Darkling from this the Grishaverse. He was just scary. Like I have a very like whenever villains engage in mind control, that scares me. I like get so freaked out and I always think someone's gonna be in my own head and it's like scary. So he definitely is like a creepy character. He's also like extremely scary, but what he did with Alina was like terrifying, and that's why he made my list of like a pretty scary dude. I didn't love him. Like I wasn't like in love with him as a character. Like I know a lot of people were. But I found him and Alina's dynamics to be like super compelling and super interesting, and I just really like their dynamics, and I really enjoyed reading about them. He definitely was scary and creepy, but I didn't love him. Some other villains that are of some note that I would like to preface or discuss in this series. A couple of them, I really did like Maeve from the Red Queen series. I didn't wind up finishing that series because after book 2 I just like lost interest. But I did think he was again like a very like, and he was the first character that ever pulled a switch like that I really liked. But he was a really interesting villain. Someone again so bloodthirsty. The Commandant from the Torch Against the Night series is another one that like really I'm really invested in. And yeah, those two are some that I just wanted to mention because they come up a lot when I'm doing Bookstagram photos. And I really do like that dynamics. But the Darkest Mind series as well. Clancy is another villain that he's so intelligent that he does his villainy in like a very, very like low key way. And the evil guy in the Passenger series is another villainy that I really like enjoyed. I thought that it was very, very well crafted. Oh, and Zero, well, the villain in Warcross, I'll say that because there's a couple of different villains that happen, but those dynamics were super, super interesting. So those are just some of the villains that I wanted to chat about in this video. You got a few more than my blog post, but let me know in the comments, what are some of your villains that you connect with, or like, or don't like, or really enjoy, and we will chat about it in the comments. But I will talk to you guys later. Bye.